Hello my lovely YouTubers, Classic 80 Fanboy here. Hope you all are doing well. For me today has been quite a productive day. I was able to cut the back garden as well as the front garden, so that's all done. Yeah, it's been it's nice to get those jobs done and out in the open, and they're all finished and it looks nice out there. It does look quite nice. When I'm looking at the camera at the moment, all I can see is my face looks dark. So if I look like I'm sitting in the dark, I've got all the lights on, and there is light outside. So I do apologise if it looks like I'm sitting in the dark. But today, what I thought I'd do is, now I've done a video on my sci-fi 80s sci-fi DVDs that I've got. Now this time it's to do with, it's all Earth based. Yeah, it's all Earth based, and it's my land sort of 80s DVD collection that I've got. I haven't got everything I want, but then again, when do we ever get everything we want? If we had everything in the world, the world would be a warm place, wouldn't it? So there are still things I'm looking out for, and I'll explain that near the end. But let's start off. I've written some notes, so if I keep looking down, it's because I'm reading these notes, because I had to do a little bit of research on them, because even though I know the synopsis of the stories and what they're about, because I've watched them quite a few times, I don't know the ins and outs. I don't know when they started, when they stopped, because that was when I was a child. So I've got the info here, so I will go through it with you. And you never know, if you find these interesting, pick them up, because they are, to me, I found in the 80s, as an 80s kid, I found these entertaining, and maybe you will too. So my advice would be, if you see anything you like, have a hunt around for charity shops, car boot sales, jumble sales, and you might find some, you know. Some of these were a gift from my lovely other half, and some I bought myself. So let's dive in straight away. So the first one we're going to look at, and what I'll try and do is, as well, is put some pictures up of each series of DVD, you know, each collection that I've got, if I can, because I know Mr. YouTube doesn't like copyright, so I'll try my best. Alright, so the first one we're going to look at, I think quite a few people will know this one. I'll hold it up so you can see. Turn it round. And the other side. Right, so I'll put that down here and just let you know what it's about. So it's not right, obviously. It was released on September 26th, 1982, and the last episode aired on April the 4th, 1986. So all in all, there were 90 episodes of that particular series. It was created and produced by Glenn A. Larson. The cast, now, David Hasselhoff is the main lead role. He plays a character originally called Michael Long, but then it gets changed to Michael Knight, and I'll go into the synopsis why in a minute. You have Edward Moorhair playing a character named Devon Miles. Patricia McPherson plays a character called Dr. Bonnie Barstow, and William Daniels is the voice of Kit. Now, Kit stands for Night Industries 2000, which is the car, and that's more or less who the main star of the show is, the car. So basically, to start off with, Michael Long, as his name was, to start off with, is a Las Vegas cop who ends up being shot in the face. He tries to do a sting. He's playing undercover in an undercover role, and it goes wrong. and it's all to do with a diamond heist, and he gets shot, and somebody picks him up and takes him to their mansion, who's a billionaire basically, and gives him plastic surgeries, changes his face, so when the bones come off, it's stapled the house off, and his name's been changed to Michael Knight. Then the idea of the story is that this industry has picked up Michael Knight and wants to use him as not as a policeman, but as somebody who can investigate and solve crimes and mysteries. And to help him do that, they insert a microchip into him, and he's connected with a car. Obviously KIT, that's Knight Industries 2000. So Knight Industries is the name of the actual company, and it's like a how to put it, detective. It's like a detective. Yeah, it's like a detective series, and he's a plainclothes detective, and he goes on all these adventures. So there's that one. That's the first one I looked at. And of course, virtually everybody knows about Knight Rider. If you don't, there are clips online as well on YouTube. You can look up, and there are clips on there about it. But that's one of my favourites. So the next favourite is this one, which is Airwolf. That there I've got is only series 1, 2 and 3. They did make a 4th series, because it's American, it's not series, it's seasons. They did make a 4th season, but unfortunately it wasn't as successful as the previous 3, so it didn't last very long. But we'll have a look at all the details that I've written down here. So Airwolf was released on January the 22nd, 1984. Its last episode ran on August the 7th, 1987. It ran for 79 episodes, and that's the 3 seasons plus. They did try a 4th, but as I said, I think it got stopped halfway through because it was really bad. It wasn't that good. Nobody was enjoying it, and because Jan Michael Vincent had moved on, they weren't interested anyway. A lot of people turned off. It was created by Donald P. Bellisario. The cast is Jan Michael Vincent, who plays Stringfellow Hawk. Ernest Borgnine plays Dominic Santini. Alex Cord plays Michael Goldsmith Briggs III, who has a code name by a company called The Firm, and he's known as Archangel. And in the 2nd season it was added to by a lady called Jean Bruce Scott, who played Caitlin O'Shaughnessy, who happened to be a police pilot of a helicopter. So she then joined on to the Airwolf team. So basic premise of the story is Airwolf was created by a genius called Dr. Moffat, who then turned Airwolf onto his basically creator. He turned the helicopter onto the Pentagon staff and some of the senators and killed them all, and then flew over to Baghdad and basically was used as a mercenary, just turned into a mercenary. So the firm, it was called then, they hired Stringfellow Hawk to go over there and recapture Airwolf, and he did. But what happened was, because him and his brother were helicopter pilots in Vietnam, and his brother went missing, and it was presumed that he was being held by the Vietnamese as basically a hostage, as a Vietnamese hostage. And in order for him to release Airwolf back to the firm, which he doesn't do, they need to find his brother St. John. Or if you read it on paper, it's called St. John. But it's actually St. John Hawk. So he uses Airwolf as a bartering tool. So all the time he's got Airwolf, he's working for the firm, but he does not let the firm take Airwolf back until his brother's found. And that's the synopsis of the story. So runs over the three seasons. Fantastic show. I loved the Airwolf itself. It was a Bell helicopter that was transferred in, changed in, and added armaments on there. Yeah, I'd recommend that to anybody. So that was Airwolf. Next one. Now, if you don't know this one, where have you lot been? Yes, it's those 4 Intrepid heroes. It's the A-Team. This was my main favourite back when I was a kid. So it was released on January the 23rd, which coincides with my birthday. I was 8 years old on the day it was released. It came out on TV in 1983. And the last episode was on March the 8th, 1987. It ran for 98 episodes over 5 seasons. And it was created by Stephen J. Cannell and Frank Lupo. The cast, let's talk about the cast. So playing the heroic main lead, we have George Peppard, who plays Lieutenant Colonel John Hannibal Smith. Then we have Dirk Benedict playing Lieutenant Templeton Face Peck. Dwight Schultz plays Captain H.M. Murdoch. H.M. stands for Howling Mad, if you didn't know, because he was gone in the head. As a pilot, a fantastic pilot, but he was just mad as a hatter. And then we have Mr. T playing Sergeant Bosco Bad Attitude Baracus. And Linda Coulier playing Amy Allen. So I'm not going to go into detail about the show, because at the beginning of the show there's a gentleman on there that gives a narrative on the beginning of the show. So I'm not going to play it for you because I'll get copyrighted like hell, because I don't like people playing other people's stuff on there. You end up with a copyright strike and it's not worth it. But I'll try and put photos up anyway, alright? Yes, so that's another one of my favourite 80s TV shows. Have you noticed a theme here? Because I do, most of them are American, they're not British. Unfortunately, British shows at the time weren't very family orientated. You had loads of other things like Cat's Eyes, Dempsey and Makepeace, the Equalizer, shows like that, but they were more for adults than for young people. I should say, not kids, but young people. But you don't get many of them. You didn't get many British shows for younger audiences, because BBC didn't have the money. There was nowhere near they could afford a budget of doing anything like that, because America being huge, they could put on, they have lots of news networks, cable networks and TV networks. They had the money then. That was where all the money was coming from, the US. So you know, we managed to buy a lot of their TV shows from them and put them on our terrestrial screen. So the next one. I don't know how many people know about that. I will put photos up after showing this. So I'll give it a break. So the next one, Street Talk. This one didn't have as long as release as all the others because I don't think it was as popular, because I don't think an awful lot of people knew about it. And at that point we'd already had Knight Rider and Airwolf, but it seemed logical that once you have a car and a helicopter, the next logical thing would be a motorbike. So here we go, Street Walk was released on 4th of January 1985. And the last episode was on the 16th of May 1985. So as you can see, it only ran for 13 episodes. So my box set is very slim, because that's all, you know, that's 13 episodes. That's all there was in that one season. It's created by Paul M. Bellus and Robert Waterstoft. It's quite hard to pronounce that one. And Bruce Lansbury, who was the brother of Angela Lansbury, the well-renowned British, or Dame Angela Lansbury, because that's what she is. She's a Dame. Well-known British actress. Not many people know she's British. She's not American. She's British. So who do we have in the cast? We have the main lead is played by Rex Smith, who was a well-known American singer in his younger days. He plays a character called Jesse Mark. Now we have another actress called Jeannie Wilson, but I can't remember for my life of me what her name was in the show. I know she played, basically it was connected to PR, and I can't remember if she was a policewoman or a police officer or not, but I know Jessie Mark was, but I'm not sure was she. And they worked all in the same police department. I think this was either Hollywood or Beverly Hills Police Department, one or two. It's one of the ones where all the fame, you know, like Hollywood. It was based around Hollywood, that area. Richard Venture played Captain Leo Captain Leo Altobelli. And Joe Regalbuto played Norman Tuttle. Now the basic premise of the story is Jesse Mark is a motorcycle policeman who on his time, well, he's a bit of a stuntman as well, likes to do silly tricks with his police motorcycle, gets caught for it. He's almost sacked for it, but he's not suspended. He has his best friend is a motorcycle cop as well, and they like doing dirt bike trials. They like dirt biking, so they go off together doing a dirt bike. His friend goes off and gets shot, and Jesse Mark finds him dead. Well, finds him just about alive, and he dies in his arms. So he tries to go after the person who did it, and who's in a 4x4, and the 4x4 goes after Jesse and obviously runs him over. Not obviously, because you don't know, but runs him over. So he ends up with a damaged leg. It's broken in so many places, and he gets approached by a character named Norman Tuttle, who is experimenting with a prototype. It's not within the police, it's outside the police. It's not military, it's in between. It's government thing, secret government organisation and operation. And of course the vehicle he has created is Streethawk, which can do up to 300 miles an hour on a street bike. So Jesse then becomes Streethawk, basically a motorcycle rider for this secret government organisation that goes after the bad guys, basically. But I think people were on overload. They'd already had Night Rider on it. As I said, they were on Night Rider and Airwolf, and just to top it off, they added Streethawk as well. It wasn't as popular, unfortunately. Right, so that's then. The next one is, I've only got 2 more left, so hang in there. This one you may not have heard before, and a lot of people probably wouldn't. So I will definitely put photos up after I've done the turnaround. I'll split the thing and put photos in. I'll do an editing thing, alright? Who's ever heard of that one? Hands up, who's heard of that one? Who's heard of Tales of the Gold Monkey? I did when I was younger. So, Tales of the Gold Monkey was released on the 22nd of September 1982. Its last episode was on the 1st of June 1983. It ended up being 22 episodes, which is 1 season. So just like Streethawk, it wasn't very well known, but I love the show. It was a Donald P. Belisario production, and the cast: Stephen Collins, who you may know more as Commander Decker from Star Trek The Motion Picture. He plays a character called Jake Cutter. You have another actor called Jeff McKay. He plays a character called Corky. You have Caitlin O'Hearney, and she plays a character called Sarah Stickney White. And Roddy McDowall. Now, Roddy McDowall was well known in the 70s and 80s because he'd appear in virtually every TV show there was. Every American TV show, whether it be Murder, She Wrote, or Columbo, or... I'm trying to think... I'm not sure he was in Love Boat, but he was in a couple of other things as well. And he played a character called Bon Chance Louis. Now, the original character of Bon Chance Louis was played by Ron Moody, but I don't think he was as very popular and not as recognised as Roddy McDowall. So I think Roddy McDowall replaced him. So this all. The whole show incorporates, it's set during around the Second World War. It incorporates an air cargo delivery service. He's an ex-pilot, but Jake Cutter's an ex-military pilot, but then leaves the forces and sets up his own air cargo delivery service in a fictional place called Bora Bora. It sounds like Bora Bora, doesn't it? But it's not, it's Bora Bora. He has an airplane called Cutter's Goose, and it's one of the airplanes that land in water. So it's an air seaplane, and that's his air cargo service. And he has a Jack Russell Terrier named Jack, who's only got one eye, and the other one's glass. But yeah, it reminds me very much of Indiana Jones, that era. jacket. Jake obviously wears a flight jacket and a cap and a shirt and trousers, tan trousers, very much like Indiana Jones, Harrison Ford character, and I suppose that's why I like it so much. It does remind me of Indiana Jones, and it is all the stories in this season is involved and told around a pure golden monkey. It's a pure gold monkey. The show at the beginning of the show, you can see it. It's stuck right in the middle of the screen. It's a gold monkey, and at the end, where the credits come up, you see them a gold monkey sitting there. So yeah, I enjoyed that. It's all you've got. Caitlin O'Heaney, I think, is a British spy. Under her bed is a suitcase. She lifts it up and communicates with Britain, the British, using Morse code. She's got a Morse code machine. And yeah, there's Germans are involved in it and everything like that. So yeah, that's well worth a watch if you've never seen it before. My last one is this. Any ideas? Of course, it's Wonder Woman. The original Wonder Woman, I would say. Although, I do like Gal Gadot's portrayal of Wonder Woman. I think she's beautiful. And she's incredibly fantastic in that role. But you can't take it away from the original Wonder Woman, who happens to be Linda Carter. No, sir. So, this one is slightly outside the 80s because it was released on the 7th of November 1975, and its last episode was 11th December 1979, so it did last a good 4 years. It was created by comic book artist Douglas S. Kramer. I think he was a comic book artist anyway. Not so much go on with the cast. You just got Linda Carter, who plays Wonder Woman, and Lyle Waggoner, who plays Steve Trevor. Now, if you've seen the recent movie, yes, it more or less happens the same as the movie. This is just as faithful, but she is her undercover disguise. When she comes to America, she's a secretary, Air Force secretary for Steve Trevor in the military, and that's her undercover personality. Later on in the newer episodes, it comes onto the more modern age. So it goes from the war era, and it's supposed to be Steve Trevor's son that she takes, because as you know, Wonder Woman never ages. It's Steve Trevor's son, basically. Lyle Waggoner plays Steve Trevor's son, and she ends up back at Themyscira, and then in the new adventures, she basically she goes back to America, and then this is when her cousin gets involved and all that lot, and you see her cousin as Wonder Girl in there as well. So there you have it. They're my favourite 80s, 70s, 80s TV shows. They are all American, I'm not going to lie about that, but America had so much more to show than what Britain did. Britain didn't have those kinds of shows, and they didn't have the budget or the money to create shows like that. So they are my favourite shows in the era of, especially from America's TV shows. There are a couple more I want to find, but I'm not going to pay money out for them now. I'm going to look for car boot sales or charity shops, because it could turn up one day, which is The original V, not the new version, the original V. And The Greatest American Hero, because I love that as well. That was a good favourite of mine, Greatest American Hero. Which played the actor who played the Greatest American Hero he auditioned for the role of Luke Skywalker, but obviously he didn't get it. Mark Hamill got it, so there we are. Anyway, thank you for stopping by, and thank you for your patience. Thank you for listening to me drabble on. Before I go, I just want to give a huge shout out to these people, Mike and Melinda. They have a channel called Retro Blasting. Now, I highly recommend these two, just as I recommend Toy Polloi and Analog Toys. They are the cream of the cream of toy YouTubers and movie YouTubers. They know what they're talking about. Mike and Melinda do a podcast every weekend, usually on a theme. Michael has his own toy museum, and so does Tony from Analog Toys. So I follow them, and I wanted to support them, so I bought the t-shirt. And also I sent them a Doctor Who gift. A few months ago I sent them, because B&M are still doing releases of Doctor Who figures. I saw one of his videos, and he didn't have any Sontarans, or the original classic Sontarans. So I sent him a packet with some Sontarans in there, and I think it was Sylvester McCoy's Doctor as well. Yeah, and yeah, Analog Toys. When I can afford it, I should be getting an Analog Toys t-shirt as well. Because, yes, I collected Action Man when I was young. No, I don't have any Action Man now. I wish I did. Because they're absolutely fantastic toys. I wish I had the collection that he's got, because he's got a fantastic collection of 70s and 80s. So he does 70s and 80s toys. Mike and Melinda do 80s and 90s toys. Anyway, thanks for dropping by, and I'll see you very soon on the next one. Cheerio.